Hi everyone. Well, yesterday we introduced the abstract and the introduction of the essay called "A Review of Foreign Language Enjoyment and Engagement," written by Zheng Yijun from the Department of International Business, Hainan College of Foreign Studies in Wenchang in China. So today we'll further move on to the main body part, and that main body part includes three different parts, namely the theoretical background, empirical studies, and suggestions for future research. And today's time is limited, then I think probably I could only finish the theoretical background part. And for the empirical studies, probably I need to leave it to tomorrow. And for suggestions for future research, I think that part is not very important. It's just serve as a conclusion or the summary of the overall research. So today I think I'll mainly focus on theoretical background, and in this part, I'll include, for example, especially the Broaden-and-Build Theory, which is a core theory in the field of second language acquisition. Well, I will start from retelling the author's essay, and then when I am retelling, I'll also express some of my ideas and just something about academics that pop up in my mind. So the author in the theoretical background, in that part, she firstly said the foreign language enjoyment is a kind of construct that belongs to the overall category of positive psychology. Positive psychology, I think, like what I've said yesterday, positive psychology was the construct brought by Professor Martin Seligman, and Professor Martin Seligman was the president of the American Psychological Association. So I think we have introduced that part. So the author listed several studies at the beginning. For example, like let me see. Um, she listed an author's study in 1994 and Professor Fredrickson's study in 2004. So I think actually this part I don't quite understand the author's logic, because generally I can see she just listed several authors here, and probably she just listed here in parallel, and I don't quite understand the logic of different authors, and I don't quite understand the historical development of this construct. And generally speaking, I think I simply can't understand here. Probably it's my limited understanding. So I'll jump this part to the next part. So the author then said that Martin Seligman's PERMA model, and said foreign language enjoyment is the realization of positive emotions in this model. And the PERMA model, like what I've said yesterday, PERMA model was the acronym of positive emotions. E was the engagement, and R is relationship, M is meaning, and A is accomplishment. So these are 5 elements of the PERMA model. And generally speaking, if you have higher scores on these 5 aspects, then you are theoretically happier than others. And here comes the most important part in today's video, and that is Professor Fredrickson's Broaden-and-Build Theory. So what is Broaden-and-Build Theory? This theory was proposed by Barbara Fredrickson in 2001. So Professor Fredrickson is absolutely the father of this theory, and Broaden-and-Build theory are one of the most well-known theory in the field of SLA. Another is control value theory, which will absolutely be introduced in the near future, but not today. So Broaden-and-Build theory posits that positive emotions serve a critical long-term adaptive role by broadening people's momentary thought, action repertoires, and building their enduring personal and social resources. Well, this is probably the quotation that I get from the article, or I don't quite remember. I can't recall where this quotation from. It's simply listed here. It is listed here in my notebook. But I think this definition or this brief introduction is precise and also accurate, because I will then introduce the broadening effect of Broaden-and-Build Theory, and then what is the build effect. So you can see there are two dimensions of this theory. So let's first talk about the broadening effect. It means the immediate effect of positive emotions. And that immediate effect is to broaden an individual's momentary mindset. So this is a little bit abstract, and there are several keywords that I need to further explain. I need to explain them in detail. So first is the immediate effect. The immediate effect, what is that kind of effect? Is a kind of broadening effect. A broadening effect means you are not you're not feeling confined. You want to show off yourself. For example, just imagine this kind of scenario when you're like sitting in a classroom when you're sitting in a classroom and your English teacher is teaching you, for example, about a new article, and she or he asks you to raise hands to answer the questions. And if you really enjoy the class, you have a very high level of foreign language enjoyment, and you want to interact with the teacher, and you have a very strong passion on this article and on this language, then you will definitely raise your hand and try to show your ability, show that you are actively engaged in this class. So this is like a broadening scenario. You are trying to open yourself and try to participate and interact with other people. So this is a kind of broadening. On the contrary, is about narrowing. Also in this scenario, if you don't understand about this article, you don't even know how to speak English, then I think absolutely you won't raise your hand to answer the question. And this is narrowing. And in that scenario, you'll definitely face a strong sense of foreign language anxiety. And therefore, FLE leads to openness, leads to broadening. And FLA leads to narrowing and your self-confinement or constraints. So this is a brief introduction of the broadening effect. So this is the immediate effect. And more importantly, this effect is immediate. So broadening means immediate effect. Immediate means it's a kind of moment-to-moment changes. Because when the teacher asks you to raise your hand, then it happens in that class, not in the future, not in a very long time. So if you don't raise your hand, then the teacher would pick up another student. But if you raise your hand, then you answer the question. So it's a kind of immediate effect. So this is what the broadening is focusing on. And the longitudinal effect or long-term effects belong to the part of build, the other part of this theory. So this is the immediate effect of broadening effects. And another keyword is the mindset. And what is mindset? Or this kind of word is literally abstract, and we need to draw we need to find a difference between abstract, for example, perspectives, or your attitude, or your emotions. So what are the differences among those several terms? As a Chinese student, I can say, even though I think I have a relatively I have a relatively better command of English. I still quite at the very beginning, I still don't quite understand the differences among those two words. Then I definitely resorted to artificial intelligence and other websites to tell me the differences among those keywords. So the mindset means basically your heart, or the let's say the the thing that belongs to the bottom part of the of your thoughts, and this is the beginning of your thoughts, your further action or your behaviors. So mindset in Chinese means your 心, or your, it's just like your mind, your heart. So merely describing this term, you can't know the differences. So probably I think if you know like another or other terms, for example, perspectives and attitude, you can have a better understanding. So mindset, as you can see, my description is probably also quite abstract. It's about your heart. It's about, it's just like about your mind. And perspective means how you see another thing. I think to put it together, you can have a better understand, because if you have a positive mindset, then you would regard a certain thing also as positive. For example, if you have a very if you really like, for example, say a teacher, then you might think the exams or the homeworks, let's say the homeworks that teacher asks you to do is also a way to accumulate, for example, accumulate your knowledge, or to consolidate what you have learned. But if you really don't like that teacher, or at least you let's say you do not have a very strong passion on a certain subject, then you might think that that kind of homework is boring. So this is your mindset that really decides what you see another thing, what you see another phenomenon. Although the phenomenon or the phenomenon are the same, you still, let's say, have a different kind of perspective on them. So the perspective stems from your mindset. So the mindset is like what I've said, the bottom of your, let's say, your thinking, your feelings, and also your further attitude. And now I have already mentioned the term attitude. So what is attitude, and what is the difference among attitude, perspectives, and mindset? So attitude means basically means your behaviors, your actions. So it moves from perspective to another state or another stage. So this stage is attitude. Let's say if you really like that teacher and you see the homework as a way of consolidating of your learning, then you would do your homework probably at first, and also you would do it, let's say, in a state of flow, like the term that I've mentioned, written by Professor, I have to check it out, the flow, Csikszentmihalyi. So I think this is your attitude. Attitude means the behavior or the actual action that you do. So these are the differences among those three different terms. So I think I've already introduced the broadening effect. And let me see what are the other most important things that I have written down in that part. I need to check it out. I need to check it out in my notebook. So, um, I I wrote that 5 core emotions mentioned by Professor Fredrickson include joy, interest, contentment, pride, and love. Well, I think I, I think I wrote this note probably a week ago, so now I don't I can't quite understand my personal note. Mm, so I think this is probably just something not quite that important. So I would move to another part, and probably one day um, if I just have a chance to remind of it, then I would then record another video about this part. So the next part is the building effect. And what is the building effect? I think it's basically the longitudinal situation of the broadening effect. It means the positive accumulations accumulate uh, enduring personal resources. So as you can see, it includes several key terms. First is enduring. Then it means it's a longitudinal term. Then let's see my notes. Okay, so here it is. The building effect it built what? Professor Fredrickson said it built 4 lasting categories, which means it built 4 different resources, and those resources include physical, intellectual, social, and psychological. So those resources are basically are just 4 categories that we need to remember. And as you can see or hear, my mastery of this part is not very well, so I definitely need to recall them every day and to consolidate my learning. Because absolutely, as all of us, I mean, as undergraduate students who just started to get in touch with this field, I think I really need to review those terms, especially several linguistics terms such as like syntax or semantics or loads of those terms. I need to recall them every day. Otherwise, I will forget about them very quickly. So the 4 resources here include physical, all right, intellectual, social, and psychological, all right. So those resources will eventually help individuals thrive over time. And there are 2 features about those resources. The first feature is those resources are enduring, like what I've said is a longitudinal effect. And the second feature is those categories are transferable. So transferable means it can be used in other domains. So other domains means that, for example, I mean, if you are interested in English, then you have a high level of foreign language enjoyment, then you can theoretically have a passion on, for example, Japanese or French or other languages. And let's say not only languages, but also other fields. I think here is an example, because when I am learning English, I definitely need to memorize vocabularies. I need to learn grammar, and especially as Chinese students, we are under tremendous pressure because we need to have a very high score. And now I'm learning in one of the most prestigious universities. Then it means that in junior high school and senior high school, I worked extremely hard and got a very high score in the college entrance examination, and that I think the students who can enter my university and the students who can't, the ratio of the students who can enter to those who can't probably can be, let's say, 1 to 100, or even 1 to 200. I'm not quite sure. So I just wanted to give you a brief concept because it's very, very hard. It's extremely hard. So at that time, I think I have already cultivated my spirit, and I have already, developed a very strong sense of perseverance and persistence. And I believe that my personal endeavor would finally pay off. And so here, when I am, trying to find a part-time job or trying to do some academic research, even though those are not the exams or not the tests, I still, have the same ability or the same spirits that can be used here. So probably my personal experience can tell you what transferable means. But whenever I recall that kind of experience or my stories in the junior high or senior high school, I generally think it's a very tough time. It's very, very tough time. And you definitely need to be very lucky and smart and diligent to be admitted by the greatest universities in China. So, so this part is absolutely not quite related to my academic research. So I won't share about this story any longer. So, well, this is the building effect, and now we have already concluded the two different aspects of this theory. And what are the relationships between broadening and building? Is a kind of spiral dynamics. Like Marxism, like a quotation in Marxism is said this kind of human society is in a process of spiral development or spiral growth. So you can see the positive emotions, which is the result of the broadening effect, and the resources, which are the results of the building effect. Those two things, I mean, emotions and resources, they can have an impact on each other, because emotions is an immediate term, is an immediate effect, immediate result, and it can generally develop into resources. Let's say if you are happy on English classes every day, then you generally would have a better score, or you generally would have, let's say, you would have a lasting psychological state. So it means positive emotions will generally become your resources. I think this is kind of process just like you're forming a kind of habit. You just need time to make it grow and consolidate and further develop. So I think this is easy to understand. And resources would also have an impact on positive emotions, because you feel easier to feel positive emotions if you have a large amount of resources. So those two results of broadening and building are correlated, and they would impact one another. So let's make a conclusion here. Positive emotions include 5 emotions like I have mentioned above: joy, interest, contentment, pride, and love. And resources include 4 different aspects: physical, intellectual, social, and psychological. All right. So at last about this theory is the application to foreign language enjoyment. So actually there are several examples that I wrote down in my notebook. For the broadening effect, it can broaden learners' mindset and then influence the learner's perspective, and finally result to the attitude, which means the behaviors or the real actions conducted by the students. And the second is the building effect. So it can also, like foreign language enjoyment, can build the learner's resources. In the intellectual aspect, it can improve learners' linguistic proficiency, and on social aspect, it can increase learners' willingness to communicate, which is like a very important variable, an individual variable in the field of second language acquisition. And then the psychological aspect, it can help learner to develop a greater self-efficacy. Efficacy means one's belief in his or her ability. So it's quite similar to, I think, confidence or self-belief. So to use the scientific words is self-efficacy. So it's 10:30 right now, and time is really limited. But I think I'm very glad that today I have already finished the Broaden-and-Build Theory, and I have already reviewed some of the key parts of this theory. And I also discovered that my mastery of this part is not that solid. And I think I need to spend more time on this. But right now, I'm still writing some essays. And today I submitted my essay to a journal, and I don't quite know whether it can be accepted or not, because it is a Chinese journal, and sometimes probably Chinese journals are quite different from international journals, because generally we need to have a teacher as, like, say, correspondent author, so that article can be accepted. But if, for example, if only a student as the first author, then even though you have done a great job in that research, your language or the results, the overall things are pretty good. The editor would also have a very high possibility to reject you, and that would be the desk rejection, and you even don't have the chance to rewrite or to get your research optimized or refined. So I think the situation here is quite different from that internationally. So actually I think I have made much progress, but I'm not quite sure whether my essays could be accepted. So basically every day I can just save up to half an hour, or probably on weekends I can save, like, say 1 or 2 hours to make a record of my academic progress. So basically this is today, and this is today's content, and see you tomorrow. Good night.